Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video I want to talk a bit about gear and item levels and the fact that we'll be doing overall same amount of damage in percentage, but overall the numbers are going to be a lot less. So in this video I kind of want to encompass the item squish that we're going to be getting in the gear, the lack of tier sets that we'll be getting in BFA, and how it'll affect us going from Legion to BFA. I want to talk about this one because I actually find this topic interesting and I feel like there's just not a lot about it yet, and there's not a lot of coverage about it, even though I feel like it's going to be the most important thing that we'll see in BFA. First part is we will have a stat squish in the game. So right now you're going to go from hitting big numbers into small numbers. Well, Blizzard have said themselves, and they actually have it right here, the available characters that they had for the demo back at BlizzCon was about item level 185. That's after the squish of all the other item levels. And let's say right now you have or let's say your class and you're doing full mythic and Taurus, you're about 970 item level. That's going to squish down to a 305, so the numbers are going to be a lot smaller, which I think is good because the numbers going past 1,000 is a little asinine, just not as cool. Lowering them down to really reinforce that every single item level is actually worth something, I think it'll be a lot better of an option instead of having to go into 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, like it's just going to be overblown and too much. And hard-hitting spells like Chaos Bolt, which is one of the harder-hitting spells in the game, will hit for about 6.3k. Now, what does that mean percentage-wise? Are you hitting for less? Are you going overall from hitting for millions down to thousands? Are you just nerfing every single class? Well, yes and no. You are nerfing the numbers, but you're also nerfing the health pools of the players. You're nerfing the health pools of the bosses themselves as well. Percentage-wise, like how much damage your Chaos Bolt would chunk out of a boss would be about the same. So the idea is to squish the numbers down so it's not overblown and overinflated, where we're going into literally trillions. Like right now, the only thing I want to see that's in trillions is the US economy, and even that I would like to, lower down a bit. But we're getting IAP right now in trillions. We're hitting in millions. Our DPS and just the item levels are really soon going to be in billions unless we do the item squish better than the one they did for Mists of Pandaria Transition into Warlords, where they just did a slight item squish. It basically was a remop all over again in terms of item level, in terms of numbers, in terms of health pools. So this was a huge item squish. I'm super happy because I never played with low numbers, so I would love to see it where even small numbers make a big difference. I love the idea. So I guess the question would be from here is, what are your thoughts? Do you like the item squish? Because essentially you're going to be hitting for the same number or some percentage, same chunk of their health. It's just the number is going to be a lot smaller, a lot more manageable. Like, but what are your thoughts? Because I've heard some people that actually don't like the item squish. They want to be hitting for millions and billions and trillions. I mean, they're just way too much. At that point, like, are we playing World of Warcraft, or is this going to be what is that game? Diablo? Diablo has some big ass numbers. Yeah, I was thinking about another game, but Diablo would be a good example. The next is legendaries and Titan Forging. Our legendaries still in the game? No, they're going away. The idea of legendaries is still sticking around with the new Azeroth system, which is not, it's similar to our artifact power system, but it's not quite. It's more about how you customize your gear instead of how you customize your weapon. And it has more customization options, actual customization choices, instead of just, you going down the tree. And it's just you trying to fill out the whole thing. And the only part of customization is at the very entry level of, do you want to be more sustainy, do you want to be more DPS-y? Eventually you'll be able to fill out the whole tree of your weapon, but you have some more choice. This one is actually going to be choice based. Legendaries are gone. Titanforge is still going to be in the game because it allows people to run the same content over and over until it eventually Titanforge for a better piece of gear, which I actually thought would be like, oh man, I have to do the same thing over and over and over again. But it's actually kind of fun. There's a little bit of element to it. It gives you a reason to run the same dungeon, same Mythic Plus that I ran just a minute ago, for a chance to maybe get some Titanforge, good piece of gear that'll give me the right stats. It's a good feeling once it happens, and I think it works out because I feel like I never get burnt out of it. So Titanforge is going to cap the amount of Titanforge you can get on stuff like weapons and certain pieces of gear that are huge effects of the game. Like there will be huge pieces that will change how much damage you do. So weapons and such will have a cap on how high of Titanforging they can get. Legendaries are gone, but the idea of legendaries and the special effects is getting transferred into the item level and Azeroth power of aspect of the game. Next we can talk about is the Azeroth, the Heart of Azeroth item and the lack of tier sets. Let's first talk about tier sets. They're basically taking tiers out of the game. Now, I don't really see anything on forums saying, oh wow, tiers are terrible, or nobody likes tiers, or anything like that. I feel like they've been staple in World of Warcraft, and that's something most players that do PvE understand, that there's tier sets. Some of them are useful, some of them are not, and being able to customize your gear depending on tier sets is, I guess, pretty neat. But I guess in Legion, so far, I haven't really had that customization. In most cases, you either get good tier sets that increase how well your spec is played, and it kind of does poorly when you're not able to get the tier sets, or you can get tier sets that don't really increase your damage that much. So some classes can do well without tier sets all on their own. The tier sets basically try to normalize the playing field and so balancing and damage and whatnot. So the idea is to take out tier sets and replace them with the Asteroid power system. And we don't have a lot about this stuff at all. Like, no one talks about it. There's no info. There's barely anything on the alpha right now about it. And hopefully we'll get more into this in the beta so we can really take a close look into it. So in this video, I really want to focus on the Asteroid system just to make sure everybody understands how it works and just give you as best of an explanation as I have. So the idea is we'll be getting a necklace. We'll be getting a necklace that will be collecting AP, Asteroid power, instead of artifact power. So instead of having it stuck to a weapon where we can choose our weapons, we'll put it on a necklace. Something you can basically have the whole time and not really replace it. It's not something that actually shows up in the game. It just sits there and it'll kind of function as just like a stat stick with a bunch of stats for everybody. So the Heart of Azeroth will be leveled up after collecting certain amount of AP. Every single point you collect, let's say you're going from a level 9 to level 10, you'll need, let's say, 100 AP, 100 Asteroid power. Instead of doing the research thing they did for AP, where it gives you more percentage per AP you earn, so let's say 1 week you're earning 100, next week you'll earn 200, and you need more AP every time to get a level, you'll basically need less every week. So let's say you have going from level 9 to 10, you need 100 AP. Next week it might be 90 or 80 or 70. It'll just go down, so that kind of prevents the numbers from getting overinflated. The Asteroid Armor will work off of 3 different pieces of gear. Again, no tier sets at all. It'll just work off your headpiece, shoulder piece, and chest piece. Every single unique item in the game, every single chest that has a different name, will have its own set of different, I guess, utilities and different bonuses you can add to yourself. So it's basically like make your own bonus kind of deal. Incorporate tier sets in there, in the way tier sets function, incorporate legendary effects in terms of legendary effects function, and in every one of them they said, what they want to do is make it more competitive. So let's say first row is going to be just how you deal damage. Next row, no damage. It's all about utility. How do you deal with utilities? Final row could be all defensives. So you don't have to have, a straight line of just DPS the whole time. You'll actually have damage to be competitive against each other. You have utilities competitive against one another, and defensives competitive again to one another, which should order a little bit more customization that you actually can choose how you want to play. Of course, some of them are going to be best in slot, but and as I said, each piece of gear with a different name will have different sets. You have the Coil of the Winter Fates, and you have these icons right here. But then Wither Falconeer, you have completely different items and icons altogether. Your utility stuff could be completely different, and your defense, I don't even know which ones of them will be damage, defensives, utility, whatever. I have no idea, but this is just so far what we've been told. So there will be customizations of different pieces of gear. So every piece of gear in its way could have utilities that like the higher ends don't have. So you could have some broken, maybe Lego style bonuses. I doubt it, but it'll be kind of cool. And I feel like it makes every piece of gear more unique, and it could even surpass item level, I could think. So maybe you got this awesome purple helmet from Rare, but then the current raid tier has another helmet. It's higher item level, but yours has this awesome effect, and you might want to just keep it just because you can utilize it better, earn some interesting playstyle. I'm kind of imagining this stuff right now. It'd be cool if they could do that, because it'd be very vanilla-esque, right? So, because some pieces of gear were just so good, you would keep them from a certain level all the way until the very end. So I think that could have potential. Of course, the chests, you have different items, different sets, and it looks like the first row on the outside will have 4 options. The middle row will have 3, the center row will have 2, and I don't really know what the middle piece does. That piece, I don't really know. Each piece is going to be unique and is going to allow you to customize and mismatch, and you might have two pieces of gear that are the same item level and you can just change them around, and I feel like it gives more customization. Again, craft your own tier piece, craft your own Lego effects into your gear. I think in a way it'll offer even more customization and maybe more depth to the game and how we play. Instead of like, okay, I got my 4-piece, I'll learn how to play around my 4-piece. It's more like, no, craft your own 2-piece 4-piece and learn how to play around your 2-piece 4-piece. So essentially you could have a shaman that's playing one build and a shaman playing another build and a third shaman playing a whole another build completely if they go into crafting. Depends how deep Blizzard goes with it. One of the things they talked about Azeroth is when you have the necklace and it's at level 10, you don't have to earn it for other spec, like for Subtlety to level 10, and Assassination for level 10, and Outlaw for level 10. Once it's level 10, it applies for all 3 specs, so you don't have to farm AP like you had to with your other pieces of gear, which will allow you to, whatever piece of gear you get, as long as the necklace is powerful, you get a new piece of gear, you can just start customizing it right then and there, right now. Another thing they talked about is dungeon difficulties. Do you get better pieces with better dungeons? So the idea is for Mythic Dungeon, Heroic Dungeon, and Normal, like no matter what, as you can see, the icons themselves are the same. The power level of these bonuses will be different. But getting like a stronger version will help you, but the actual effects of it are going to be flat no matter what you do. So for Mythic Raiders or people doing Mythic Plus dungeons, their items are going to deal more damage. But the guys that are doing Heroic and Normal that just can't quite get there to Mythic, they're still going to utilize the same effects, they just won't be quite maybe as powerful, so there'll be some power levels for it. Now my only question is just how customizable is this? Can you rotate the circles as much as you want, or once you slot it in, it's locked in and you just can't do it? Because if you can rotate it whenever you want them, you can basically take same piece of gear and change your playstyle for a Mythic Plus dungeon, change your playstyle for a normal raid. Or do you need to get 2 pieces of the same piece of gear, right? Let's say you have a mythic chest that you got from a raid, and it's so good, and the bonuses are so great, and you set it up for raiding. But when you want to do Mythic Plus, there might be a few pieces of, I guess, the customizable tier stuff that are way better for the dungeon environment. And now you need to go get the same chest and customize it with the same nodes, but just for a dungeon. So you basically have gear that you can swap out. That basically might mean that you might have a duplicate of the same pieces of gear that you have, or for maybe some of the slots, if not the full set, in order to do better at Mythic Plus. Let's say you were trying to etch more damage or etch more healing, or be a lot more tanky and handle AoE pressure rather than a single target boss pressure in like a fortified Mythic Plus week. That's my question, is can you customize it on the fly, or maybe in the city, or go to like a maybe like a altar, and then you slot it on the altar, you mess around with it, take it off, bam, then you have a different piece of gear. Can you customize it kind of on the fly, or are you going to be locked in? Because if you're going to be locked in, then it's going to basically be, let's say you're trying to run a heroic raid, and there's a bunch of core members, and you're just somebody who's joined the guild, or just got to the raider aspect, but still people in the core have advantage over you, or a guild leader is just being a dick and taking all the gear. So let's say everybody else has a bunch of good pieces of gear, and you're just still trying to get a replacement for an item. This awesome piece of bracers drops, and you're like, wow. Oh, not bracers, let's go, helmet drops, and it's like, wow, best of slot, great items, and I could replace whatever the hell I have. But because the actual talents of the pieces of gear or the bonuses are locked in and you can't customize them, the guild leader might say, oh, I'm gonna take that so I can run my Mythic Plus better. So here goes a raider who missed out on a piece of gear because the guild leader is basically getting a duplicate of the same item. So you're getting 2 of every item, not just 1 for tier set, 2 of every item, just so you can have 1 for Mythic Plus and 1 for PvE raiding. I mean, it'll be kind of asinine, you know what I mean? I'm hoping there will be some kind of customization option that you can customize it whenever. There's so little information on Azeroth gear that you don't really know how it's gonna function. It's not like actually applicable in the game yet, you know what I mean? Another thing I want to ask is, are we going to be able to use this in PvP? Because that would be amazing. Imagine getting utilities and damage aspects and defensives in PvP versus PvE. It'd be a lot different. I miss tier sets in PvP. I feel like being able to customize to get you 2-piece and then maybe forego your 4-piece, but get a little bit more stat stick out of the whatever you would get for missing 4-piece, maybe like a chest piece or, you know, legs or whatever. You could really play around with how you wanted to play. With the ability for us to choose what weapons we want to run, maybe adding a little bit of customizability, like maybe Frost DKs being able to go from two-hander to dual wield, you know, whatever they want to end up doing. I think that'd be awesome, just to be able to allow people to, I guess, add tier pieces and tier sets into your gear. I think it'll make PvP gear, especially let's say you're doing BG, and you get a piece of PvP gear, and then somebody else does a dungeon, they get a piece of PvE gear in a dungeon. The bonuses of your PvP gear and their dungeon gear are going to be different. So you could actually have some people that want to farm certain BG bonuses or even arena bonuses to take into the raid and vice versa. And I mean, a lot of people don't want to have to go do PvP to do PvE, and a lot of people don't want to do PvE to do PvP. So you could have your PvP gear with their tier sets. One, it'll be customizable, so you can actually use it and it'll be fun. Second, it makes them better suited for PvP. Although, you know, there could be some niche playstyle that somebody theory crafted and could be utilized with gear from PvP into PvE and vice versa. But it could be still standardized that in PvP, they're basically what they have in mind is you're going to be playing against other players. Maybe like bonuses that have to do when you see a player, and bam, you don't really use that in a raid. And in PvE, it could be when you see a PvE mob, bam, not really applicable for PvP. Stuff like that, you know. I think it'd be awesome if the were to be added. I feel like I doubt it because they do want to take out gear from PvP as much as possible, which I think is kind of a backwards way of going about it. Not a huge fan, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But this is everything we have so far for the Asteroid Armor, the lack of tier sets, the Item Squish, really everything you need to know about gear in BFA. So far, I'm kind of hoping that beta will have a lot more for us to look at, a lot more access to this kind of systems, maybe like even 120 type of content, 120 type of health pools and damage. I'm really looking forward to all of this, and I really cannot wait. But this is everything we have so far. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and of course, as always, if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. Likes allow my videos to reach a wider audience and grow my channel, so that would be very much appreciated. If you guys enjoy this kind of videos, discussions, BFA updates, patch updates, and Simplify 511 duels, go ahead and hit subscribe down below. We put out 2 videos a day. And if you guys want to catch some of the live streams and participate in the live streams, be sure to hit the notification bell down below in order to be caught up on every single video and every single stream that goes up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in another video.